And they've maybe just said, could you move that or do that or change that,
whatever
or
it is.
next time you do that, do this. But it cuts really quite deep. And I think for me it was linked directly to ego, I think. Because I was so busy trying to prove that I knew what I was doing, that somebody coming along and even having one small suggestion would be like me going, oh no, hold on a second, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas now I'm like, I'm the first one, I think I fucked up there,
Yeah,
you know, hand in the air, you know, because I'm now confident about it. But I get what you mean about that sort of, that moment where you're like, yeah, it's cool, bring it on.
Yeah, gradual shifts. And I remember the first time that somebody really shouted at me and I didn't, and I have got, you know, I'm from Northern Ireland. I come from a lineage of rage. It's like we all do. Like we have got, I think every one of us in Northern Ireland has got it in us to slam a hand on the table and say, wait till I fucking tell you.
Yeah.
But I used to pride myself on that as well. You know, I prided myself on it. It's like, and then I wondered why I ended up getting beaten up. Well, do you think it might be because you talk violently and you don't know when to shut your mouth? And, you know, if I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. You know, just that kind of dickery. You know, and I liked myself. I think I had nice qualities. I was traumatized and I was defensive and I had low self-esteem, and that's how all of that stuff manifested.
Yeah.
So now, if I can get people together, like I do this yoga teacher training program, and we've all these wee videos on YouTube on the Jivani Yoga channel, the Jivani experience we call it, and it's the whole way through them. It says things like, it's a transformational journey disguised as a teacher training.
Yeah.
You know, what I really learned was about myself. You know, I've wanted to put up a blog post saying this course is a front. You know, this yoga teacher training is a front. Yeah. Just to like, I've got clearer and clearer and clearer, because it doesn't happen very often, but I have had mismatches on the TTC, and it's just a nightmare for everybody. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. So to try and avoid that, I have everything up everywhere that's saying, can you really see what it is we're doing here? Because although yoga is perceived to be the mat and the spandex and the, you know, the studios and all that, and that's lovely, that's great, it's what got me into it. Like, get people moving, all hands on deck, everybody go and take a bloody yoga class, you'll find something that's good for you. The real yoga, like to get that thread that has been the greatest gift for me, that thread of this is okay, like there's something bigger than me that's happening here. That has come back from self-reflection and meditation and journaling and compassionate communication and voice work. Like, how about if what you say out loud actually matches what your inner voice is saying? What if your decision-making process came from a deep knowing of yourself?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Do you think that your teacher trainings are so different because of the massive transformational journey you've been on yourself?
I would say so, yes. I would say absolutely. And the thing that I used to it was called Anusara Yoga, and it was a you know, the Anusara heyday, where I think it sort of imploded around 2012, but I was an Anusara teacher for 5 years, and within that there was very much a hierarchy. There was big dog at the top, and then there was the highest level teachers, and then the next highest, and there was always a hierarchy. Mm-hmm. And it was one that there was a lot of sort of spiritual language, and I love philosophy, but I want it in a way that it actually relates, that I can actually relate it to my life.
Yeah.
I love esoteric concepts, but I want to be able to break them down into, like, so, okay, what does this actually mean for me?
As I say, taking the woo-woo out of it.
Yeah, absolutely, so that it can be useful.
Yeah.
And when Anusara imploded, in a way, because Anusara was kind of responsible for creating the first really famous yoga teachers in the world. It was quite responsible for that. There was a lot of sort of over celebration of and idolizing of and pedestals left and right. Well, of course they all come down because there's only one. Nobody can stay on a pedestal forever, and there's only one way off.
Exactly.
So, like, if you take my advice, don't get on them in the first place. And sometimes we don't have choices with that, because if one of those teachers had me in the room, I'm there with low self-esteem, I'm there with a body that doesn't do this or that, and right now I don't know that's because that's my structure, that's my skeleton. So my low self-esteem caused me to sort of have these people on pedestals, and when the whole thing came tumbling down, it leveled the playing field. And I was able to, it's like, I don't need to be in a hierarchy. I don't need to have a giant business and train thousands of teachers all over the world. I don't think I'm made of that stuff. Because that's business driven, I mean, hats off to people who do it. Part of me is jealous, but I don't have the capacity for that. So the people who come and study with me, they get to know my story. Because and
you're very free and open and frank and honest about your story.
Well, it's because it's integrated, and I've had a lot of support. I have therapists. I've had a few therapists over the time. I went through a whole year and a half really with PTSD, and I was under the care of a trauma specialist to get me through that. So if something had just happened and it was super raw, I wouldn't be sitting here talking about it, but it's integrated, it's part of the journey. And what I've realised is that my story of how I have developed over the years and become the person that I have, that is the very platform that I stand on. And then there's certain people that will resonate. Like, some people won't resonate, and that's fine. There's many teachers here, and everybody has got something a wee bit different. So, but the people who resonate, and people like I have on my website, I have a thing called The Long Story, and I talk about that life breakdown and the violent relationship and the drunkenness. Also because I don't want to be exposed.
Self-preservation in its best form.
We didn't have phones, right? And when I was getting up to my shenanigans, there were no phones, and nothing was being recorded or filmed or put on Facebook. So, any number of people could come out of the woodwork and bring me down just with the treacherous horrors of stuff that I used to do. Well, not if I own it. I own it. That's my story. That's how I got here. It is what it is. If the work that I do resonates, and for the people that it does, I mean, they love it. It's very.
But people will be listening to your show and go, right, I need a piece of that. I want a piece of that. But your yoga teacher training isn't for just any yoga bunny. It's for people who've been doing it for a while, isn't it? Or people who...
Do you know what? Sometimes we have taken people with it's interesting. We have taken people that have very, very little experience, and it's happened a couple of times where it has stunned me how they have absorbed it and taken it and gone on to share it. It has absolutely stunned me. The teacher training is for people who want to... the emphasis is not on poses. We do asana, it's breath-led, it's a personal practice, an individualized practice in a group setting. It's really, there's a lot of journaling, there's circle work, there's triads, there's voice work, there's hands-on breath work. It's a healing journey. I want to be very, very specific about this. Me, the leader, and we, the team, do not do the healing for anybody. Everyone has to do the tricky work themselves. Okay?
It's not a spectator sport.
Right. No, it's not a spectator. You need to be in and doing it. For those who dive in, I mean, oh my God, the bonds that are created and the lifelong friendships and the depth of human connection that we reach. I mean, it's extraordinary. It's like we can meet in a place of total authenticity and trust, and be witnessed in our stories. Now, especially for women, there's a need to be witnessed in our stories, and there's a lot of talk with trauma and trauma healing and the likes, that you don't have to go over the story. It's a nervous system thing, talk therapy can be good, but it's not necessary, and don't get stuck in the story and XYZ, right? And all of that
I'm in the middle of doing timeline myself at the minute.
Oh yes.
Love it.
Isn't it wonderful?
I had one session and I walked away with this air of calmness that I still have, but I didn't know that I wasn't calm to begin with, which really bothered me. So I was like, I didn't know it. And then the next day I was like, it's not as noisy, but I didn't know it was noisy in the first place. And then as the day went on, I was like, it's not as frantic, but I didn't know it was frantic. And it's like that. And so now I'm like, when's the next session?
Wonderful. That's wonderful.
And it's all because obviously my business is growing. I need to learn to delegate. I'm a terrible control freak. So, those were the things that I'm wanting to look at, and instantly. But it wasn't therapy as I thought therapy was, as you were saying. It's not about but it did take me to throw myself in. It takes you to be part of it.
To be willing. I met a friend today for coffee, and she used the term, she said, I wanted, she was going through a big transition in her life, and she said, I wanted to make sure there was no psychological stone left unturned. I just love that language, because if there's a belief, or there's an old trauma, or there's something that's holding us back, it's like, and I study trauma, so I understand polyvagal theory and how the nervous system works. And if we've had so say you're wearing a purple shirt today, so say something horrific happens with us today and you've got that purple shirt on, my amygdala in my brain has taken a snapshot of this scenario. So lodges
it in the time.
So say 3 weeks down the line, I'm suddenly confronted by a woman in a purple t-shirt. My amygdala will go, purple t-shirt,
warning sign.
Right. It's a built-in survival mechanism. It's great. But the thing that might have happened between us, our nervous system does not distinguish between between a threat that is real and a threat that is perceived.
Oh, right, okay.
To our nervous system, it doesn't make any difference. Like there's a possibility of a
Hence
threat
my
happening.
fear of sharks when they come on screen. It's actually quite funny. Literally, I jump out of my skin, and seconds after jumping out of my skin, I'm like staring at it, going, "Oh my god, it's so scary." And like, I think, am I crazy? So the first thing I do is I literally jump out of the room as if it's in the room with me.
Wow.
And then I become obsessed by watching it, because like I've worked out it's
fixed by
Yeah.
And so if that fear of sharks on TV, if somehow that manifested into a belief that was holding you back with what you could do with Excalibur Press, and what do you do with Excalibur Press? I mean, it's for you and it's your business and you're growing it, but it's also for me what you're doing. It's also for all of the people that we know through the hub and all your other clients. It's like a huge service. So if there's something that's stuck
holding
in you,
me back,
that's holding you back, then it's holding everybody back. So the more that we can do as individuals to own our story and own our shit and be okay. It's like reality is, I lost my mind to grief for a couple of years. I was unreliable. I could never be on time. My admin went into a holy shit show that I'm only just sorting out now. That's reality. Now, I didn't like meeting new people whenever I was in that state, because I couldn't string a sentence together half the time, and it was so, sometimes somebody saying to me, do you want a cup of tea? Felt like, what? Like the most invasive, overwhelming just invasive and overwhelming and far too much. So if we, and you see this a lot, or I've seen this a lot in yoga land, where people do put teachers on pedestals and have this idea of, oh well, that's a yoga teacher, so they must never drink, they must be vegetarian, they must get up at 5 o'clock every morning, like make up all of these things. It's like, well, I don't think that's reality. Like, what long-term yogis get the same cancer, have the same mental health issues, grieve the same, fail at relationships, pick themselves up and try again. It's like, it's not like you do yoga and everything suddenly gets okay. In fact, more often everything's gone to shit, and that's what brings people to yoga.
Yeah, looking for some. And so we've got, well, we can't ignore the big thing about the teacher training is that they are in the most absolutely amazingly beautiful, idyllic